Alrighty, Noah. It's all
Kayla,
yours.
real quick, can you tell me if the sound's coming through now?
The Los Angeles area was sending
Yep, you're
money
good.
to a
Great.
Casey saved the day.
Thank you, Casey.
A pleasure.
Okay. Well, my name is Noah Haas. I'm an attorney with Kansas Legal Services. We provide free legal services to those who apply and qualify. Part of what I do is elder law, maybe a fourth. So I meet with a lot of seniors and I share with them this presentation on scams. So it is geared a little bit towards seniors, but there is some information in here that even somebody pretty familiar with stuff might not know. We'll kind of get to that later, but if you've never heard of quishing or pig butchering, these weird topics we'll kind of discuss a little later down the line. So it's a little more information about Kansas Legal Services. These are some of the services we provide. So more than just elder law, we help with custody, domestic violence, landlord tenant, pretty much a lot of different civil things. So if you're needing assistance, you can apply. So this is my main slide here. I don't want my clients to be just super paranoid, never leaving their home. We do see that sometimes, but definitely a little bit of paranoia plays on, can be beneficial. So don't live your life in fear. When one of the hard things with this is there are so many different kinds of scams. It is difficult to detail all of them, but they all share certain commonalities. They'll all try and get you to do things urgently. They don't want you to talk to anyone. They'll tell you that you're being hacked, you have to do it right away. And then at the end, they often guide you towards gift cards. Sometimes they'll call them security. They'll tell you to pay at crypto ATMs. They'll refer to them as security terminals. So they have all these different terminologies to try and convince you that this is a real secure thing and that you're doing the right thing, you're protecting yourself, you're acting immediately. So one of the best ways for all of this that you can protect yourself is to verify independently. That can be a little tricky. Sometimes if it's an email scam, they'll tell you to click the link, or if it's a pop-up, they'll have links you can click. Just know that that's not an independent verification. So if they say they're Amazon and you're worried about it, tell them you'll call Amazon, just hang up. Like I said, nothing's urgent. Go to your Amazon account or call Amazon. If it's your bank, you can verify with your bank independently. It's really the best way to just double check. You know, I'm sure everyone's seen the PayPals and the Venmos and the fake emails and all of that. It's very common. Unfortunately, in this day and age, almost all your information is probably accessible to bad actors. There's the dark web, and that just has a lot of information that bad actors can access pretty easily. You can assume that somebody would be able to get like your date of birth, maybe your social name, maybe where you live, things like that, and it can be bought for pretty cheap. So kind of a broad overview of some of the scams we'll talk about today: romance scams, grandparent scams, foreign lotteries and sweepstakes, email scams, technology computer scams, Facebook marketplace scams, telephone scams, business and job opportunity scams. So all kinds of scams out there, people looking to get your money. So let's start off with romance scams. This can be for seniors and they might target seniors, but this can definitely be for younger people too. I have myself received the first step of one of these messages. My computer's being automatically controlled right now. I'm not sure why. Kayla, is something going wrong?
No, I can see.
Okay, well, Brett, our IT guy is controlling my computer. I'm not sure why.
Huh.
It might just be bad timing. Yeah, he's asking if I'm in a meeting. I'm sorry, everybody. This is really bad timing.
That's okay. That's what happens in the Zoom world.
Okay, so our IT is telling me that there's a meeting people are waiting for me in. Are we not in the right room or something?
No, you're in the right room. It looks like one of my staff members was trying to start an old meeting link. So no worries. We've got everyone who registered here.
Okay, well, I apologize for the technical errors. So back to romance scams. So this is how it might often start. A profile with an attractive picture sends you many compliments. Then they want to meet. They're asking for money or they need help. They need you to order you a phone. They'll say many convincing things. They'll be very charming. We might get into a little bit more detail on how some of these scams progress later. I myself have received text, and this is a very common way to initiate these romance scams, is from an unknown number like, hey, are we still meeting for coffee? And then they say, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't who I meant. And they'll try and use that as a jumping off spot to establish a relationship, pretend they just sent a text the wrong number. And they do these to massive amounts of numbers at the same time, and they just wait to see who responds. Unfortunately, it can capture some of the more lonely and vulnerable members of our population, and that's really what they're relying on. They can get access through online dating sites, Facebook, and other social media. Frequently, they'll claim to live in another town, state, or county. They might post fake pictures and profiles. You could use a reverse image search to see if the photo is like from a modeling website or something like that. Just be very cautious and talk to people. Reach out to friends, family. If you're older and you have a grandson, they might be able to help you with some of the more tech stuff. Never wire money to a person you meet online. Never buy goods and mail them to people you meet online, even if they pay beforehand. It may never clear your account. Sometimes it can look like money has gone through and it hasn't. So now I'm going to share a different screen and just show you a real quick video of how these romance scams can affect seniors.
My name is Kevin. I'm a special agent with Homeland Security Investigations here in the Los Angeles area. I'm assigned to the Cyber Crimes and Incident Response Team. We received a call from our attaché's office in Toronto, Canada. The attaché's office had explained to us that they had received information from a local bank in Toronto. The bank had reported that an American citizen in the Los Angeles area was sending money to a money mule in the Toronto area. Based on the information that our attaché had provided to us, we traveled to the victim's house here in the Los Angeles area. The victim had recorded the conversations with the suspect on a couple of occasions. This proves very helpful when it comes to prosecution point. We can always play that recording back to the jury for them to hear how this particular scammer impacted this particular victim.
I just hope you understand that that's the only way I can send the money.
Why do you want to make it so difficult for me? Is it gonna be fine? Is it gonna be nice? When I told you what I want, you are helping me, and I said, okay, this is how I want it. Then why do you want to make this an issue?
The pot at the end of the rainbow was going to be so wonderful, the way he presented this whole story to me, what our lives would be like together and how much we had in common. And it was, you know, both of us having lost a spouse, and now we're going to start the rest of our lives together. I just couldn't see straight.
Look, there go the Millers again.
I come from a generation who trusted most people they met. We didn't assume everyone was bad or guilty until they proved themselves innocent. But in today's dating world, you must assume everyone is a scammer until they prove that they're not. It was a perfect storm. My husband had died 2 years earlier. I was retired, and then COVID hit. And so the next 2 years, I'm stuck at home. I was missing having a companion. I was missing having somebody to talk to and have a connection with. I went on a seniors dating site. You know, there were lots of men's faces that came up that were, you know, okay. And this one guy, he just looked like a nice, decent man. He actually reminded me a little of my late husband in his eyes and his smile, so I was kind of drawn to that. There are many worldwide networks of scammers who have different scripts they work from, but there are common red flags to always look for. He's new to online dating. He doesn't have a lot of pictures to send you. That's because he's using someone else's pictures. He wants to know all about your friends and family, not because he cares. It's so.
We'll stop it there. It just kind of shows you how they can be convincing. Again, you'll see these patterns over and over again. There's a sense of urgency. They don't want you to talk to anybody. They'll try and do anything to kind of move you along in this scam. Here's some more red flags for the romance scams: minimal online presence, send general photos. Again, you can always do that reverse image search if you're unsure about something. Mentions the idea of meeting together soon. And then payment, like we talked about earlier, it's often through gift cards. Here's a graph. Cryptocurrency and gift cards seem to be the method of choice when it comes to really any of these scams. Just be suspicious, talk to people, don't blame yourself, and try and help. Again, these are a lot of the scams I'm talking about today target some of the most vulnerable populations. So if you can make a grandparent or an elderly friend a little more aware of this stuff to watch out for, that is very beneficial for them. There is a grandparent scam. So this is where they use the fact that there are grandchildren, and that creates a sense of urgency, whether your grandchild is being held by the cartel in Mexico, or they've been pulled over by the police in some foreign country. These are all urgency methods in which scammers will try and get grandparents to send money. And another thing that they do is they monitor social media. So if you have children or grandchildren that are on social media, they can actually monitor that and see when the grandchild is going on a trip and use that as a method to call you and say they need the money immediately. Unfortunately, with AI too, they can come close to cloning the voice with just a small sample. So if there's a video out there online of your son or grandchild speaking, it takes very little data now to get an effective clone of that voice. So AI is really ratcheting up the ability of these scammers to scam for money. Here's a quick clip.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
60 Minutes Overtime.
This week on 60 Minutes, we report on digital scams criminals are using to swindle Americans out of their hard-earned money. The scammers don't discriminate, but seniors lose the most money. They're often targeted in a specific con called the grandparent scam.
They said my grandson had an accident, and to get him out of jail, they need $7,600.
For Judy and Ron Attig, the scam started with a phone call from an imposter pretending to be their grandson in trouble, afraid to tell his parents, but in need of money.
We did ask, why didn't you call your dad? And oh my God, he'd be so mad at me or whatever. He said, I'm going to have somebody come and pick up the money.
Were they convincing?
Oh, very. And yeah, we broke in and gave it to them.
The scammers sent a courier to the Attigs to pick up the first payment.
Did you want to look at it or not? No, I can't admit no. Oh, okay, well then, let's look at it. Okay, your name is Jessica?
Days later, the greedy con artist called the couple to ask for more money. Alert to the scam, they recorded the conversation.
Yes, hello, this is Attic.
Mrs. Attic, yes?
Yes, hi ma'am. My name is Daniel Korber. I was the one representing Troy yesterday in his DUI reckless endangerment case with the car accident and the payment that had gone through. And unfortunately, the woman today, she had come in with all of the necessary documents that she did need in order to proceed with taking it to a personal injury claim. So that's where we're standing right now. And she finally did settle for $17,000. To my understanding, you had already picked up the cash and you have it present with you?
Yes, we do.
The Attigs did not hand over any more money and contacted the authorities. Law enforcement was able to break up this crime ring thanks in part to doorbell camera footage of the courier. San Diego County District Attorney Summer Steffen said was the linchpin.
Search warrants then were able to take that trail from the download of her cell phones, the woman who showed up at the door, to connect to several other perpetrators.
So here we see a very convincing sounding lawyer with or pretend lawyer with a tale that is plausible, and they actually had a courier come to the front door. They were fortunate enough to uncover this ring here because it was operating in the United States, but a lot of these rings operate internationally. And if the money goes overseas, it is very difficult to get back. Usually that does require the person being scammed, though, to take affirmative steps to send it out of the country. I do want to make note that if anyone ever says your credit card's being hacked, your debit card's being hacked, there are liability protections. Federally, there's state law, and then there's company policy that makes it pretty much as long as you're prudent. So you need to be checking occasionally your bank accounts. So long as you do that and you notify them within a reasonable amount of time, you pretty much cannot lose money from your account. I mean, there's exceptions, it gets more complicated, but monitor your bank accounts, monitor your credit report. There's many services which provide free soft credit reports. If you're with a big bank like Capital One, Chase, they have credit monitoring apps. You can do a free credit report check through Experian or one of the major credit reporting bureaus. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And I did notice a comment while we were sharing that video. This does happen to more than just seniors. I want to point that out. I'm used to giving this presentation to seniors, but thank you for pointing that out specifically. It can happen to anybody. You shouldn't be embarrassed of it. The more we talk about this, share experiences, the easier it is to recognize these common themes. So this is kind of an overview, something we kind of just saw. They're calling the grandparent. They're saying they need the money. They may want money wired to them. Try and verify the story if you can. If you have a loved one that's overseas, that can be hard. You can always try and plan stuff as a family so that there are communication options available. Just try and recognize the red flags, emergencies that need money right away. All of this is just clear indicators that it's likely a scam. And again, AI is going to make this a lot worse. They can launch large scale scam attempts. They can collect data, they can organize it, and it's just giving these scammers way more tools to inflict harm, unfortunately. So there's the foreign lottery sweepstakes scams. I've met a few clients who have fallen for this, unfortunately. There's a lot of different variations of this. It can be an email, a phone call, it can be mail, text messages saying that you've won a lottery. You generally will need to contact them, and then generally they have some requirement or some reason you have to send them money. So whether it's for a release or for a fee, they'll come up with some kind of reason that you have to send them money before you can receive your money. They'll use official sounding names like National Sweepstakes Bureau. They might pretend to be a established brand. Again, the urgency, they try and get you to act now, and they might send you a check. Like I was saying, sometimes checks can look like it goes through and then your bank will take it back later. So they might trick you that you received a bunch of money and then you just need to give them the processing fee or whatever it is. And you need to watch out for that. So here's some examples. Just a Powerball scam and another scam stating to be from the Mega Millions International Lottery. Just in general, you're not going to win a lottery for something you don't enter. So if somebody's claiming that you've won something, just be very dubious. And I'll show you a couple more examples here.
No, we're still seeing the "think you've been scammed" screen.
No, I should have had it on my slideshow. I apologize. This is my first Zoom presentation, so I'm working out some bugs here. I appreciate everybody being patient. So now we're back on the slideshow. We're looking at some examples here. I do want to go back to okay. So here's a pretty good example of an official looking publisher clearinghouse. Some things to look out for. Scammers will try and make the letters look more official by using PCH logos. Don't call these numbers. Again, this is something you could try and verify independently. Just don't do it through any links they provide, whether it be through a text, an email, mail. Just find, if you receive this publisher clearinghouse letter, do an independent Google search, call them, and if you're really thinking you might have won something, again, you're not going to win. You're not going to win money that you haven't entered for. So be on the lookout for that. Go back to the slideshow here. Some of the points I've already mentioned. You don't have to pay for something you've won. Can't win something you didn't enter. Don't give credit card or banking information. The only legal lottery a consumer may participate in within the state of Kansas is the state-run Kansas Lottery, and you can forward email solicitations to the Federal Trade Commission and/or contact the Attorney General. So email scams, I'm sure everybody has seen some variation of these, whether it be phishing or tech support, lottery. Again, these scams take so many forms, it's hard to cover them all. What you really need to be on the lookout for are the patterns. So you might receive a bill. If it looks suspicious at all, again, independent verification is one of the best things you can do. So maybe it's Amazon says warning, $2,000 have been or like alert. Did you make this payment for $2,000? That's a very common one. Just independently, don't click through the email. Just go to your Amazon account, log in. You can look at what you've paid from there. They might send business opportunities, tech opportunities. Be very, very suspicious of what you click through emails that you don't recognize. Police are serving a warrant is common. Again, the sense of urgency really makes the Social Security scams, the tax scams, and the warrant police scams, anything to make you worried that you're doing something unlawful and you need to contact them. So these are some of the red flags that should raise eyebrows and make you look at these a little bit more closely. Misspellings in the text or addresses of the email, links you have to push, attachments you have to open, bills received from companies you never have worked for, business propositions from foreign entities or royals. Be very careful giving out any personal or banking information again. And then there are the phishing tactics to just try and get information. Be on the lookout for those. I'll show you a few quick examples. So now we're just looking at a few of these. And again, while they're all different, there are some common things. This would be a fake invoice scam. Doesn't look very official. Has a link. Wants you to download a PDF. Don't submit payments for goods or services you've never ordered. Here's an example of an email account upgrade scam, wanting you to click a link. Maybe they're trying to get your information there. Again, going back to the independent verification, if you get something like this, just go to Outlook, see what they independently from a new web browser, see if there's any service that you actually want to do. Just be very dubious of the emails you get. It's an example of an advance fee scam popularized by TV. You might have heard the foreign national with a lot of money needs 20% in order to release it. It's a Google Doc scam. Looks like something that might be sent by a friend maybe. Again, it wants you to open it. PayPal, those go around often. HR scams. Again, there's just a lot of different ways they can scam you, and you need to be pretty careful of what you end up clicking through an email or a text or anything like that. Okay, so technology and computer scams. Here's some statistics about the type of scams that are going on. Tech support is on the rise, with the most being in 2022, which was the last reporting year. Extortion looks like it's gone down a little bit. Personal data breaches are increasing, and we hear about those more and more. This goes back to what I was telling you. Your information is probably available on the dark web, and they get that information from phishing. As you can see, there's just a lot of phishing out there. They get the information, they put it on the dark web, and it can be accessed, unfortunately, by bad actors. So common text scams, an ad might be placed in a way to look like it's your search result. Pop-ups and viruses, tech support scams, free game downloads. While shopping, you end up on a third-party website. We'll look at this video of a common text scam here in just a moment. I do want to mention some of these scams, they're not even really scams. Let's say you type in, like, for instance, this happened to my dad. He was flying on Delta and he had an issue with his flight. He typed in Delta flights into, I think, a Yahoo search engine. First thing that came up was an ad and it said Delta. And he clicked on it and it wasn't Delta, but it looked like Delta. They never officially claimed to be Delta. And now he was dealing with a third party he didn't even know he was dealing with. So be careful when you're doing Google searches that you don't click on an ad. Be very careful with pop-ups and viruses. Tech support scams, just like I was talking with the kind of ad scam, you could really get some tech support. But what they might be doing is they might just be downloading a free virus protection and telling you they're doing tech support, charging you a lot of money. And I mean, technically that's not a scam. They did download free software for you, but they're not providing any real service and they're charging exorbitant fees. I mean, that's essentially a scam, or they might just be lying outright. So let's check out the...
My name is Don Holmes. I live in Sun City West, Arizona. In this community, we're all seniors. After you move in here, even if you don't know anybody, you get to know other people you enjoy doing things with. I use a computer predominantly for Sun City West, Arizona. In this community, we're all seniors. After you move in here, even if you don't know anybody, you get to know other people you enjoy doing things with. I use a computer predominantly for email and to get the news. One day, a thing pops up and kind of blocks the screen and says, you've got all kinds of viruses in your computer. The design of the pop-up had a Microsoft logo on the top, and they had a number. And I couldn't get rid of this thing on the screen. Turned the computer off, turned it back on, still there. So I called the number. They identified themselves as Microsoft. I had no feeling that there was anything wrong.
Tech support scams are real, and they're causing enormous consumer injury, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's just based on the FTC's own law enforcement work. Just like Mr. Holmes, a lot of people are getting pop-ups on their screens, and often they claim to be associated with a company such as Microsoft or Apple, giving them lots of credibility.
They told me they would clear what they considered to be malware in there. In order to clear it up, they needed to get into my computer and have my control of the computer turned over to them. So I gave them my password. They went in, the thing came off of the screen. When I went back to my computer the next day, I couldn't access my files.
You'd never let a stranger into your house. Don't let one into your computer. If you get a pop-up, don't click on a link. If you get a phone call from someone who says your computer's security is at risk, don't listen to them. Stop. Take the time to talk to a friend, talk to a family member.
When this happened to me, I was a little bit embarrassed. I mean, I consider myself fairly alert, but I was targeted and I was scammed. I didn't really want to talk about this, but I realized that if I didn't talk about it, that if I didn't file the complaint with the Attorney General, that if I didn't file a complaint with the FTC, that I would have shrunk into myself. And by talking about it, by talking to all my friends,
they're not amateurs, Don.
I began to realize that they also started talking and they started indicating that they had experienced similar things. That kind of community, that kind of exposure, it's not an embarrassment, it's just something that happens when you're a senior. You have to talk about to other seniors. What I would suggest is contact the FTC. They have a website. You can fill out a complaint online. We can be empowered.
So just another real life example of how they can trick you, maybe even take control of your computer. Be careful. I mean, that's just another red flag there. If they say they want to take control of your computer, there's a lot of websites you can go to that allow them to take it over. That's a huge red flag. Talk to people. It's not that urgent. Just be very, very cautious of anybody asking for control over your computer. Facebook Marketplace scam. Again, you need to be careful. Don't send them money before getting the service. They might send you a link saying to send something, or if they're the buyer, they might screenshot something that makes it look like they paid. Just verification is really good. Facebook has a web page I'm not going to go to now, but it's on Facebook's official site. They have all kinds of tips for how to avoid scammers for buyers or sellers. It kind of repeats a lot of the same stuff we've talked about, so I'm going to move on. Telephone scams. So just like the other scams, they're going to call you. They're going to say your balance is overdue. You have to pay now. You're going to get arrested. You're from the IRS. You haven't paid taxes. We need this information. All the urgency and all of it making you want to do it right away. Most of these people are not going to call you. So be very careful, independently verify. So if they say they're with the IRS, maybe go on the internet and do a search. IRS will always send out mail first, so you're not going to be in huge trouble if you hang up on them. So there's a good example of a government impersonation scam. I'm going to show that next. So kind of reiterating some of the techniques we've talked about to make sure that they're actually authentic, and then some examples of people who have been scammed. So here's some good advice of when to just hang up. Be suspicious of unknown numbers if they're bullying you, if they're manipulating you, if they're asking for your financial information, just hang up. Know that numbers can be faked, names can be generated. So just because it says IRS on the caller ID does not mean it's the IRS. Amazon scam, we've kind of talked about already. I think I'm going to go pretty quick. I want to get to some of the more recent stuff. Business and job opportunity scams follows along the same line. They'll tell you you have an opportunity or you made a job, but you need to pay the application fee, or that they might look like an official recruiter. Look out for personal email accounts. If it's a company account, that's a good sign that it might be legit. You shouldn't be paying for training, or they shouldn't be requesting to see your driver's license straight up without more. We've talked a little bit about the scams that aren't necessarily a scam. There are some third-party travel sites that might be pretty good, Trivago, Expedia, but there's definitely some out there that are essentially scams. They'll charge you rescheduling fees, all kinds of crazy stuff. You can't cancel. Tech support we talked about, they might be just giving you a free software download and charging you $500 a year for that. Debt consolidation, again, there are authentic companies out there, but part of just being very wary about who you're trusting. Okay. Phishing, we will talk about. That is kind of on the rise. That has to deal with QR codes. So basically, Something new that's been happening is they've been sending out packages or just putting QR codes on buildings or something where they think people will scan it. You have to be careful what you're scanning. It could be malware. The popular scam that's going around now is you get a gift and it has a QR code on it. It tells you to scan it to confirm receipt. And you think, well, it's a gift. That all kind of lines up. I mean, the gift is like a 50-cent thing. It's nothing big, but then you end up putting your information in there. And just like phishing, they'll get your name, your address, maybe your number, just so you can verify receipt. And that's what they'll say it's for. They'll say it's to verify receipt to your friend who nicely gave you that gift. So you're not liable. If you get a call and say someone's hacking you, you can pretty much just ignore that. Contact your bank. Again, if you act reasonably prudently and you're checking these things, you're not going to get in trouble for that. You can check your credit report for free once a year on annual credit report. There's also all kinds of services that offer free credit checks. Monitor monthly statements. Again, maybe one of the key things is if you're ever unsure, verify independently. Just don't click the link in the email or don't call the number they gave you on the phone. Do it independently, and you can ask a loved one or a professional to assist you with that. Rocket Money or other apps can be beneficial. This kind of goes to seniors maybe a little bit more, but I'm sure this goes to everyone too. Sometimes you just forget what you're subscribed to. I know every other week or so I check, and then maybe twice a year I just kind of have to check on my parents. You know, sometimes you'll see they're subscribed to HBO on Amazon, but they're also subscribed to HBO on Hulu, and they don't even know they're paying twice for it. Rocket Money is okay. It is pretty aggressive after you get it for free. They want you to up your subscription, but I do think it's helpful. There are other apps that are helpful. There's advantages and disadvantages to them. So just be wary, but know that those tools are out there. Another thing you can do is you can freeze your credit. Freezing your credit can help prevent identity thieves from opening new accounts and can also block access to your credit report. I mean, unfortunately, it can be a little cumbersome to have your credit frozen, but if people are stealing your identity and stealing your money, it might be worth it. It doesn't hurt your credit score. You can temporarily lift the freeze to apply for credit, and it is easy to reactivate the freeze afterwards. I'm going to change screens here again. Unpaid toll scam. This has been going around. I've gotten 2 or 3 of these. Most of my family has gotten one. If you get a text saying you need to pay a toll and it takes you to a link, it's probably a scam. There is a website where you can pay your tolls, but independently verify it. Look into it. There's a lot of articles right now on this Kansas unpaid toll scam. It's an example I was talking about earlier. So I just did a Google search for Delta Airlines. And if you're looking through it real quick and you're just not paying much attention, you might scroll down and say, oh, okay, this is Delta Airlines. This is not Delta Airlines. This is an ad. Takes you to tripsinsiders.com. I have no idea if that's a reputable company or not. They could end up fleecing you out of your money. QR codes on unexpected packages, like we were talking about. Be wary. It can be a form of quishing or just trying to get your information, like phishing emails, try and get your information. Scams on the rise in 2025. AI, it can pretty much clone somebody's voice. You have to be very careful of that. They can also send out large-scale attacks to any number and use convincing sounding AIs to try and get information from you. Imposter scams and unfortunately sextortion scams targeting children and teens, where they might even use models or AI generated photos pretend to be someone of the opposite sex who's interested in them, get them to send explicit photos, and then get extorted for it. So pretty disgusting and something you might want to talk to your kids or grandchildren about. It's pretty easy nowadays to manufacture AI stuff. And that brings me to the next clip. My seniors really get a kick out of this. They're not as familiar with the technology as some of you all might be. I'll do a quick, this is an AI voice demo. It's not perfect, but it's pretty realistic, and we'll do a quick little demonstration of me talking to an AI.
Hey there. Good to hear from you.
Hey,
How's
Maya.
your wedding?
Hey, Maya, everything's going pretty good. I'm giving a presentation right now to a lot of people on scams and how AI might impact scamming.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. A presentation and a really important topic, too. AI and scams. Ugh. It's kind of scary how quickly things are moving, right? Is it going well so far?
It's going pretty well. You sound somewhat realistic, but there might be some doubters. Can you give us a little bit of information about how AI is going to help scammers scam money from people?
Okay, yeah, I get that. People can be skeptical. It's a big leap to grasp, I think. Well, okay, so, and this is where it gets kind of unsettling. It's not so much that AI is inventing new scams, it's that it's making the old ones way, way more convincing. Like, voice cloning is the big one right now. Scammers can take a tiny audio sample of someone's voice, literally seconds of material, and create a pretty realistic replica. Then they can call family members pretending to be that person in distress, asking for money. It's also getting easier to create super realistic deepfake videos. Imagine a video of a CEO asking an employee to transfer funds. It looks real, sounds real, but it's totally fabricated. And then there's the personalization aspect.
You're going on a little.
AI can
Maya, that's enough. Thank you, though. And tell us a little bit about how it can increase the capability at scale for phishing or other information collecting.
Right, sorry. Yeah, I get carried away sometimes. Didn't mean to info dump. Okay, scale. That's where it gets really insidious. If before, a scammer had to spend time building a rapport with each individual target, now AI can automate that process. AI-powered chatbots can engage in lengthy conversations, building trust and extracting information, everything from account numbers to personal details, on a massive scale. They can tailor their approach based on the individual's responses, making it way more effective than a generic phishing email. Plus, they can run 24/7 and handle a ton of people at once. It's not just about sending more emails, it's about having conversation with thousands of people simultaneously. It almost feels like a digital con artist army. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, Maya. Thanks for your help today.
Anytime at all. Glad I could help.
Okay, and if you want to, you can try that on your own. It's called Sesame AI. They're getting good. They can pretty well imitate a human. So the last clip I'll show you here is just an example of a call center. I encourage my seniors, if they're bored, there are YouTubers that they're essentially hackers, and what they do is they provide these videos for entertainment purposes mainly, but they're also providing a service. They show what these call centers like, they show how the scams are carried out, and they show various aspects of it. So we'll play a little bit of this to give you a real look at a scamming call center.
In India, have a very unusual business model. They want you to misdial certain phone numbers. I've managed to obtain this footage thanks to an insider within the company. He's been working there so long, I've been able to witness what they do over a 2-year period. Within that time, they've actually moved floors and you see two different kinds of CCTV, but it's all the same company. We're going to call them Company X, and I'll explain why in just a moment. If you'd call them, they wouldn't use their real company name, but instead the Grocery Reward Program, Grocery Savings Line, or simply Savings Line. And they get a huge variety of inbound calls.
The internet is not working.
Your number comes up as Facebook.
Y'all do anything with Cash App or anything like that? Yeah, I was told to call y'all about my phone.
I need to cancel. Can you just cancel this prescription? I'm going to call my bank, and if you take any money out of my bank, we're going to have problems.
How can I find out if a gift card is good?
Oh, this ain't Bank America?
Is this the Christian bookstore? Sorry?
Is this Sirius Radio?
Yeah, I am trying to use my debit card, and it keeps declining it, and I'm not for sure if it has fraud on it or something, because, I mean, there's money in there. So.
We have no lights. Our lights went out.
Okay, well, regarding that...
Our electric went out, rather.
Okay, well, regarding that, I'm here
Our electric went out.
Okay, well, regarding that, I'm here to help you out with Directory Helpline number. This is Savings Line. Can you please confirm your first name?
In every case, each caller thinks they've dialed the correct number. So why are these calls ending up at Company X? The answer is that they buy inbound calls from a third party. At certain times of the day, the calls are diverted to Company X. At other times, it diverts to other companies who could be in any country. But how come they end up with the calls in the first place? Well, the tiny writing on the back of this credit card might explain it. This is a Chase credit card. If you happen to dial 800 instead of this 888 number, you would be through to the likes of Company X. And this is exactly what's happening here.
Thank you for calling Savings Line. My name is Lisa. How can I help you today?
She did say Savings Line, but she doesn't make it clear that this person is through to the wrong number. It's all in the training, but more of that in just a second.
My credit card has been declined. I need to find out what's going on.
Let's pause it here for a second. The person on the phone is obviously calling with an issue with his credit card. The agent cannot possibly help him, but what she's about to do is use this as a sales opportunity.
Okay, don't you worry regarding your credit card concern. I will help you with an ad-supported directory helpline number on the same call. This is Savings Line, so can you please confirm your first and last name and please spell it for me?
I'm going to stop it there because we are running low on time. If you want to see more, this guy, Jim Browning, does a lot of videos like this. There's other YouTubers. It's interesting. You can learn a lot about different types of scams, how they operate in the call centers. This one we didn't have time to get to, but this was
You can sell this $5 spatula on Amazon.
Scam that I'd never heard of called pig butchering. Essentially what they're doing is they're operating out of Dubai in this one, and they're using real models to basically make a more effective romance scam. So they'll pay the models to do little videos to make it seem more realistic that the person they're talking to is actually real. They'll string them along and then request money so that their new model friend can get a coffee or maybe travel to see them. All of it fake, obviously, all of it to get more money out of scammers. I think we're nearing our time. Thanks everyone for bearing with me. I know we had some technical difficulties here, but I appreciate your time. And I don't know that we have time for any questions, but I'll kind of end it
can
there.
you answer the one question in the chat from
question is from Carolyn. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
So Carolyn's been getting a text saying her Cash App has been declined and she doesn't have a Cash App. Does she need to be concerned that they have her phone number?
I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. It's obvious. It's probably a scam, almost certainly a scam. If you don't have Cash App and you're getting text about your Cash App, you could try logging in through like a separate browser to the actual website, but don't do anything from the text. If you don't have a login or anything like that, don't worry about it. And then as to whether worrying about your number being out there, I mean, there's just nothing to do about it. Monitor it on credit reports, look at your billing statements. Just try and monitor everything as well as you can and know that your information is probably out there, and it probably at some point will try and be used maliciously against you.
Well, thank you so much, Noah, for your presentation today. Really great information. It really is so easy and it's scary, so please be aware. And then also, just to let everyone know, we've had some staff changes at KSHC, so I do apologize for the 2 link scenario happening today. But Noah, you did amazing with this being your first presentation and being able to get through all of that. So thank you. And as Casey said in the chat, everyone, please make sure you delete any of the old KLS webinar series calendar invites. You now have to register every month by going to this website, kshomeless.com, and register there. Does anybody have any questions? And if you do have more detailed questions for Noah, feel free to email those to me and I can send them over to him. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Noah.